Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to be sharing my curriculum picks for my soon-to-be sixth grader. So this will be for the 2024-2025 school year, and this will be our fourth year homeschooling. Like I said, this is my plans for my 11-year-old who will be in sixth grade. So for this, I'm actually going to turn you around and give you a visual of all the things I'll be using for her, just so you get a better idea of what it is and look at it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is independent work she's capable of doing without me. So first thing we're going to continue, same thing we did last year, was health. And for these years, I'm focusing on puberty. I'll link above different puberty, sexual reproduction resources I use. But this is what she has left over from last year that we did not get to. So she has Urology, Puberty Guide for Everybody, Be Period Positive, and the last of the It's Perfectly Normal. This is aimed at ages 10 and up. So I don't just hand her these and she reads them and that's it. She'll read a chapter or two out of these once a week and we will go over it together. I will prompt some questions and some discussion. If she has any questions for me, this is the time she'll ask, but it's something that is an ongoing conversation, as I think it should be. But that is something I deem as independent because she does the reading by herself and then we discuss it together. Next, she'll continue Math Mammoth review skills. I talked about this in previous videos that this particular child benefits from review just to cement it long term, and I think Dimensions that's the math program we use, has a great opportunity for practice but not necessarily enough review. So I purchased the Math Mammoth skills 1st through 7th grade so I can use it with my 7-year-old and also my oldest. So what I do, since we do the Sabbath schedule, is I print 6 weeks or 7 weeks depending on how long our schedule is of work for her to do. She will do a page a day, and this is not new information for her. This is just to review the concepts, because I was noticing simple errors in, double-digit multiplication, simple errors in certain parts of her math that she just needs to have a little bit more refresher so it's easier for her to access the information in her brain. So like I said, she'll do one of these a day, and I usually back it up a grade level. So she will do Dimensions 5th grade this year. So this is Math Skills 4th grade. And she will just work through that. Next, for vocabulary, we will continue to use Sadler vocabulary. I got this from Thrift Books, so I think it is the older version of it. I know they have different versions of these. We used Sadler vocab last year, and it worked really well. I like that it's given them the context of how the words are used. It's giving you opportunities to work with the vocabulary words in context, which I like. And she's an avid reader, so she's exposed to a lot of vocabulary. So I'm really happy that Sadler kind of bumps it up and it fits where she's at vocabulary-wise. So she'll do that. And a lot of these things will be rotated in and out. So one week she'll do Sadler. The next week she'll do Brain Food, which I'll show you really quick on my computer. Arts Brain Food. You can buy the full curriculum worth. I just bought the Brain Food section because that's the only part I want to use. We have plenty of language arts. We don't need the other. And yes, she's going to 6th grade, and this is meant for 5th grade. But again, this is just areas I think she should cover. So this goes over. I'm not going to obviously have her do free choice reading, things like that. She does that. I'm not making her keep a reading journal. She doesn't need to do that. She's an avid reader. But I really like the logical fallacies. It gets into idioms, cognitive distortions. So these are little snippets that I think, as the title says, is little brain food that would be helpful for her. So she'll switch between doing Sadler one week and doing the brain food lessons the other week. Another thing I'm going to be trying out this year is Phonetic Zoo from IEW. We've had a lot of luck with IEW products. We've used it, the writing program. We've tried Fix-It Grammar twice. First time it didn't work well. Second time my daughter liked it. So I was curious to see, because I was looking for a spelling program for her. We've done All About Spelling the first few levels. She flew through it, and I think she just knew a lot of the spelling already because she reads so much. Not necessarily rules behind it, but because she's seen the word so much, she could easily write it. So I wanted to try something else. So luckily, another homeschool mom let me use the lesson cards and the zoo cards, and then another homeschool mom let me use the book. So homeschool moms, they're essential. So I'm going to try this out, and it's funny because I think I usually have a pretty good grasp on how the curriculum I choose will go for my child, but this one, it's either going to go one of two ways. Either it's going to work really well, or it's going to be a complete flop. And I say that because a lot of this is based on audio. So you listen to the words, you listen to the lesson type thing, so it's independent in that aspect. But I've never really had that type of technique, very audio based, with my oldest, so I'm curious to see if that's going to work at all with her. But I think because, again, she's exposed to so many words already, that this would be a right fit if the audio part of it clicks with her. I think it will work really well. But if she's not an auditory child, then it will be a flop. So I'm curious to see how this one ends up being, but I'm excited to try that out. I did test her into what level she would be, and I believe it's level B. She almost hit the second level, but yeah. So she almost hit level C, but not quite, so I have her in level B of this. So she will be doing that. Next is Dimensions Math. That's on order. I'll insert a picture here for you. She'll be doing Dimensions 5A and 5B this year. Yes, she's in 6th grade. Doing Dimensions 5th grade, and that's because she came from the public school system. She had some gaps, so I had to back her up. So for her 3rd grade year, we did Dimensions 2nd grade. So she's progressing exactly how she should be, though. I will link up above, we math tested her this past year. She's exactly on grade level where she should be in math, so I'm not concerned on that. We will, of course, be working on Dimensions 5. That has worked. Dimensions has worked well for us from the beginning. Next, language arts. So for language arts, she'll be doing Lightning Literature, grade 6. She's been doing Lightning Literature since 3rd grade when we brought her home. So this is the teacher guide. And then this is the student workbook. So you can see it's pretty hefty this year. I'll show you the books associated with that. So the first book she's going to read is The Wizard of Oz. And she's read The Wizard of Oz, but it was an adapted version. She read this one years ago during the pandemic because she read everything pretty much in the house that she could get her hands on. So she read this already, but she's not read the actual Wizard of Oz. So I got this off Amazon. Some of the books I bought off Amazon, some of them I bought off thrift books, depending on which one was cheaper. So I got the illustrated first edition. So she's definitely familiar with the story, but it's been a couple years since she read it, so I think she will like it. And then she'll be reading The View from Saturday, The Wednesday Wars. Pax, she's actually read in the past. She read it, I believe, last summer, so I'm not sure if she's going to remember everything she read about it, but she has already read this. A Long Walk to Water, which I think is a really good book. A Yellow Star. Roll of Thunder, Hear Me Cry. And The Wind in the Willows. So for this one, I got it off Amazon, and I got the illustrated edition just because it looked really, really cool. So I think she'll enjoy reading that. She really does prefer books with, animals and mythical creatures, things like that, where the animals are the main characters in the story. So that is my plan for Lightning Literature. And again, we do not use the writing out of this until she finishes IEW. So the next thing is she does IEW. All right, so for IEW, she has followed this path so far. She's done 1A. She did 2A last year. My original plan for 6th grade was to have her do 1B. But I noticed that when she transitioned from 1A to 2A, it was repetitive, it was easy for her, there wasn't much challenge. So this summer I had her try the free trial of 1B out. You get 3 weeks free lessons. She flew through it. It was really easy. She was getting the entire assignment done in 2 days when IW is supposed to take is a 4-day program. So I made the decision to buy 2B for 6th grade year, and we'll see how she does with that. Again, language arts is this child's, the subject she excels in. So I don't feel any issues with bumping her up to 2B in 6th grade. I think it will challenge her where it needs to be, and if not, we can always go back if that's an issue. But I think she will do well with 2B of structure and style, which means just for 7th grade, we will be doing perhaps a different writing program if this ends up working out well, and then we will probably return to IEW for 8th grade. But that is my plan for writing for 6th grade. So IEW will not take her the entire year for writing. I think it takes about 6 months, and she will start it this summer, so it will finish up around December or January. And when that happens, what I will actually have her do is switch over to the writing assignments in Lightning Literature, and I will just have her use the techniques and the binder she used with IEW to apply it to the writing assignments here, because I do think the writing prompts are really good because they relate to the book you're specifically reading and techniques you're learning in the book, but I don't think it's structured well enough to teach it this way. And this is a child that just really strives on structure, logically thinking, so IEW has been a perfect fit for her. She just plugs in the information and can go with there. It also does give her the opportunity, because she understands the structure of writing, she can write whatever she wants. This past year she wrote 2 of her own books for fun. So I think this will be a good combination. I'll link up above how I combine IEW and Lightning Literature if you want more specifics on that. But on top of that, we will also be doing Michael Clay Thompson. So this does have grammar in it, but it does not have a ton of practice. And again, this is a child that benefits greatly from repetitive practice. Lightning Literature does do a good job of revisiting every year and going deeper, so it's really building upon itself in that way, but this is not enough practice for her. She needs more practice. So one of the things I've done to remedy that, which will be brought in with some of the things I picked up, were editor-in-chief in this punctuation book. So I had her map tested, like I mentioned earlier, and some of the gap areas she was showing was mechanics. So IEW doesn't really go through mechanics. We've tried Fix-It Grammar, the mouse level, and it maybe touches a little on that. Lightning Literature touches a little on that, but again, she needs a little bit more repetitive practice. So these are going to be switched into her independent work. 1 week she'll do this, 1 week she'll do that. You can see she's been working through this. She's about halfway done this summer. So this will not take the entire year for her to do, but it has been really beneficial for her to be able to see work and see where those mistakes are, because I'm noticing her editing her papers, she has trouble seeing where the mistakes are. So I think this is a really good fit for her. We did, like I said, test out Fix-It Grammar, which I think is a great program, but not what I need it for. I need her to be able to look at things and pick out errors. She's used Michael Clay Thompson for years. She knows how to write down a sentence, all that. She needs to be able to see the entire thing and be able to edit it. So this has been really helpful. And then the other thing she'll be doing is this capitalization and punctuation workbook, and I just got this off Amazon for $6. And it literally is just exercises practicing capitalization and punctuation, because these are just things that kind of just she forgets about because she's getting the things on paper, so she needs to slow down and really think about it. I think this will really help with those gaps that the map testing was saying she needs to work more on. So we will continue, because I do not anticipate this will take the entire year for her to finish both these. I do have plans after this book as well to bring something else in to work on some of those weaker areas. So you can see I do supplement Lightning Literature with both grammar, write with both grammar, writing, punctuation. It's a nice overview, a broad brushstroke, and I really do like the literature selections. And I do like how every time you finish a book, you have a book analysis, so you go over the setting, the characters, internal detail, symbolism, all those things, which I think are really important. We also have a book discussion as well, where you as the teacher have some book discussion questions as well. So she's learning to do all those things. So I do think it has some positive things, but for us, it does need to be supplemented. So like I said, with supplementing that, the only other thing we're bringing in is Michael Clay Thompson. And this was originally not on my middle school plan. I'll link that video up above. But I was able to find the next 2 levels at a really decent price on eBay. And I'm a person that I can't afford to buy Michael Clay Thompson new, and even used, it's pretty pricey. So when I saw these deals come up, I bought them. So I do not have the complete level of the next one. She did level 1 the last 2 years, just intermediately putting it in where we needed. And it has really been one of the few programs that has challenged her in English language arts, and she has a very firm grasp of grammar, and she did really well with her map testing on grammar and vocabulary. So I think this is a really good program, and we'll continue to use it. So we'll be using Grammar Town, Practice Town, and that again, instead of sentence diagramming, it's sentence analysis, which I think makes so much more sense, at least in my brain, than trying to figure out how all the little slashes and how the things connect. Just write what part of speech it is. If it's an indirect object, all those things makes more sense to me in my brain. But I know everyone doesn't have that brain, but my 11-year-old does share a very similar brain to me and how I learn. Paragraph Town. So I'm curious to see how this will go, because we have had writing instruction as well. If this will help with that, or if it'll be a waste of time, I don't know. I do not have the Caesar's English for this, which is vocabulary, which I'm completely fine with because we have Sadler vocab. And then I don't have the poems, which is part of this level as well, because we did poems last year and she just wasn't a fan of it. Lighting Literature does a good job going over poetry. There are poetry units within, as you can see, Poetry Unit 1, Poetry Unit 2, Poetry Unit 3, Poetry Unit 4. She's gone over through a lot of the terminology, alliteration, all those things. So she's very familiar with it. She enjoys writing her own poetry. So I'm fine leaving that section out and just using what we want to out of this level. So that is the bulk of a lot of what she's doing. She will also continue typing. We just do that free typing program online. I'll link it down below. And that has worked well for her. And this past year, like I said, she wrote 2 books and she decided to type them. So I think that has been the biggest help with learning to type. And she'll continue to do typing. As far as group subjects, she will, of course, be joining us in group subjects, which will be another video because that one is pretty long as well. For her activities, she chooses to do horseback riding. She's done that the last 2 years and will continue to do that. That's once a week. And then she'll participate in our co-op. But that is my plans for my rising 6th grader. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If not, thanks for watching.